All right, we're going to do just like a 10-15 minute clearing, see what comes up. I have no agenda, there's no requests. I am just going to see what comes up when we say, show us something that we would all benefit from looking at today. Clearing, releasing, exploring in that subconscious and unconscious realm. Well, our etheric bodies are out of balance. It makes a lot of sense. I know I've been feeling it. Basically, everybody I know has been feeling it. The energy is off. The energy is off, and I don't know if it's what's going on in the planets, what's going on in the world. We just had all of these earthquakes happening, and I think all of us are just feeling that discomfort of knowing that the energy is off, but not knowing why or what to do about it. And you can feel really hopeless and really lost. So let's look at clearing any hopelessness we may have around this energy feeling off, around, so many things just feeling bad. Interesting. We're afraid of getting in trouble, fearing judgment. Karmic beliefs around fearing judgment. This comes up for us a lot, so let's dive into it. So what percent are we all stuck in the fear of judgment? 100%. And this could be, the ultimate moral judgment, right? God's judgment. This could also be those of us that are struggling just with feeling like we'll be judged by society. There are big, massive shifts happening, identity-wise, for a lot of us that feel like we're ready to let go of the old. We are ready for the world to transform, but we're also fearing that change, fearing what it means to go from, the normal, expected way things have always been into this new identity, this new world where things are different and unusual only because they're not what it used to be, not because they are inherently bad, but it's just different from what it used to be. So what can we do to release all of us from that fear of judgment, from that fear of being different, from that fear of being seen as, wrong or bad or unusual? So defiance to God. We are afraid of being in defiance to God, to God's order, to God's rules and commands. It's releasing all of us now of this fear of defying God. I trust and believe that my desires can be in alignment with God's desires. I trust and believe that God's plan for me includes allowing me to live a true and authentic life. I trust and believe that God will not judge me for being myself. I trust and believe that I am loved and embraced by God, no matter who I am or how I choose to show up. Let out a good exhale, allowing those words to really project out into the universe as your new truth, as your new belief, as your new state of mind. So let's go to chart 12 here. What is going on chart 12 that you can help us clear? So we're clearing even the idea of God's judgment. We're releasing us even from that little twinkle of a thought. And, this goes back, right, to the depths of the conscious mind, to that place in the back of all of our heads that we are sort of mildly aware of, even though it is behind many layers of other things. It's like that original thought, the original spark of an idea that God was going to judge us for our self-expression, that God was going to judge us for being who we are, that God or others will judge us for, again, being our true, authentic selves. So we're clearing not only the forefront of that belief, the manifestation of that belief, but we're also clearing the very beginning spark of that belief. The first time that idea dropped into the collective mind, we're going all the way back in time to clearing that initial spark of an idea. All right, what else do we need to do here to release ourselves from this fear of judgment, this fear of damnation, this fear of rejection, this fear of abandonment? Because those things all go together, right? When we fear God's judgment, part of what we're ultimately fearing is damnation. What we're also fearing in damnation is the fear of being rejected, fearing being unloved, and fear of being abandoned. And then if you have any kind of upbringing whatsoever in any of the Abrahamic religions and Christianity, anything like that, that also means a an infinity, your infinite lifetime of your soul will be negative and horrible, and it will involve hell. And so for anybody who is very familiar with the hell that is described in the Bible, it's awful. It is terrifying. And so no wonder we fear God's judgment. No wonder we fear judgment in general, because again, this is all symbolic. When you can apply these same sort of concepts and principles of this idea of the collective belief around God's judgment, and you can also then apply that to our collective belief around other people's judgment of us. And it may not be on the same scale, right? Our fear of eternal damnation in hell may not be on the same scale of our fear of the results of, or the hell that will be here on earth if we receive judgment and rejection from other people, but it is a mirror of itself. It is a mirror of the same sort of thing. And so when we release ourselves from that original fear of God's judgment, we also then are working towards that process of releasing ourselves from the fear of humanity's judgment. When we release ourselves from the fear of the hell in the next realm, the hell that we read about in the Bible, we also release ourselves from the fear of hell on this earth. So they all go hand in hand together. The subconscious mind, the unconscious, they are this fascinating layered space where there is a lot of sort of similarity, a lot of, again, this reflection of ideas, reflection of symbolism, reflection of belief. That, right, it's a spectrum, it's a rainbow, but there's things there that are thematic that we carry with us from the unconscious into the subconscious into the conscious mind, and they have a thread that oftentimes runs together. So I'm going to go to chart 27. I'm going to stop talking because this is what I was shown on the last chart. Oneness with God is the goal. We came from spirit. We will return to spirit. I know a lot of people struggling with this concept right now. How could I be one with God? How could I possibly be one with God? Yes, when I hear those words, my mind goes, yeah, okay, I can wrap my conscious mind around that. That yes, I can see, just as a mother births a baby from her own body using her own cells and DNA and blood. Yes, I could see how we are in our own way one with the divine life that created all of us, the divine spark that we all come from. Yes, I can see how my energetic makeup, my soul, my spiritual makeup is the same as that thing because I came from that thing. Yes, I can wrap my head around that, but can I feel it deep in my heart? Can I feel it deep in my soul? And what percent are we all blocked to believing that we are one with God, one with spirit? 100%. And what percent does this benefit us to have this blocked? Not at all. What percent would it benefit us to believe and to know and to trust that we are one with God? 100%. So what can we do to clear us of this block? What is it that is blocking us from believing that we are one with spirit, one with source, one with all that is? Chart 32 is what I'm getting. Chart 32, from alpha to omega, beginning and end. This belief, this lack of belief in the beginning to the end, this lack of belief that we are a part of the whole story. So it's really about our belief system. It's about not seeing ourselves as a part of the whole thing. And again, so alpha to omega, to me, what this also saying is like, we feel so separated from that initial spark of life. We feel so separated from that initial thought, that initial moment where, life force energy spoke us into being, which is a beautiful and, beautiful story, right? It's like, in the beginning, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Words were spoken to create all of us, to create the life force energy that is inside of all of us. And that is why I believe that the words we speak are so powerful. And that is why I believe that tapping into that life force energy and then saying the words that I say in these clearing videos actually matters. It actually does matter. And I feel it for myself. When I'm doing a clearing by myself, alone, just for me, and saying the words out loud, I feel my physical body change. I feel my spirit liven again. I feel myself released from, weight and heaviness of the things that were the energies or the beliefs, the stories that are getting me down. I know that it works. I know that words are powerful. And so let's together say, I know that I am a part of the Alpha to the Omega. I know that I'm a part of the beginning and the end. I know I am a piece of all that is. I am an important part of all that is. I am connected to all that is. And that's the thing, right? When we go back to this original spark, when we go back to this original idea, when we go back to the original spell, the spell of words that created all of us, we are connected as links in a chain. We all go back to that same source material. We are all connected to that very first moment. And, sure, if you look at it across time as we know it, there's a great distance between when that first moment happened and where we are right now in the timeline. But in the grand scheme, it's a blink of an eye. So we'll hang on to that for a moment and just really allow ourselves to say, what's the worst thing that could happen if I allowed myself to believe that I am a part of divine source, divine spirit? What's the worst thing that could happen if I allowed myself to believe that I am a part of the divine plan? What's the worst thing that could happen if I allowed myself to believe that I am a part of the Alpha and the Omega? What's the worst thing that could happen? Why are you trying to hold yourself back? What does it benefit you to hold yourself back from the belief that you are such a vital and important part of all that is? Why does it benefit you to hold yourself back from believing that the life force that is inside of you is the same life force that has been inside of everyone for all of time? And that the thought of you was in the original words, let there be light. Why do we have to fight against that? That's what I want to know. I think we struggle so much in believing in the unseen and the unknown. And yet, when I have finally once and for all released myself into the unseen and the unknown, it is the healthiest I've ever been. My life is not easy by any means. I have a lot of struggles in my life. I have a lot of difficulties. And the healthiest I have ever felt, the best decisions I have ever made is when I finally released myself into believing that the spark of life inside of me is the spark of life that exists inside of all that is divine and all that is holy and all that is living. From, again, time out of mind, time before we even knew it existed, and until the end of time as we know it. All right, what else can we do here for this collective clearing to help release all of us from this fear of God's judgment, fear of being rejected, fear of eternal damnation? We're going back to this God chart. So misuse of God consciousness. We are given ultimate knowledge and ultimate wisdom, and we misuse it. And that's okay. That's part of the human experience, right? I mean, again, I don't know. I can't say that I understand it all. I don't understand it all. And I do believe that 100%, that we have access to all of the divine wisdom and knowledge and truth that has ever existed, and we do misuse it. We bastardize it. We allow it to misguide us. We interpret it in every which way except the way that it is meant to be interpreted, which is through the lens of love, peace, justice, treating one another with kindness, treating one another as you would want to be treated, gratitude for the opportunity to be inside of a human shell, even though it's hard, even though it's painful, still finding that gratitude for the experience of waking up in the morning and hearing the birds singing, having a hug with a loved one, sharing a fascinating conversation with a stranger on a street, looking out over the ocean, looking up into the mountains, those are the moments where we get to recognize the divine truth of all that is. It is a miracle that we are here. It is a miracle that we exist at all. And this is just an absolute tiny blip on the journey, on all the more reason to be grateful for it as best as we can. So releasing all of us now from this misuse of God consciousness, calling in, the right and perfect way to use this divine truth, to use this divine wisdom, this divine knowledge. So we're releasing ourselves now from any discordant energy. Do you want to show me any specific energies we want to release right now? So let's just go to our gross energies chart. What are the gross energies specifically we want to let go of today? We want to let go of apathy. A lot of people are struggling with apathy. We want to let go of hate. We want to let go of escapism and terror. Okay, apathy, hate, escapism, and terror. Those are the energies we're going to release ourselves from right now. Calling into mind some new energies, some fresh energies, some new way of looking at the world right now. So let's do that. What are our new energies? What are our replacement energies for today? Acceptance. That's like faith, right? Acceptance, trust. Ooh, that's another version of faith. Acceptance and trust. Those are our new energies today, everybody. I'm going to keep this one brief. I'm going to keep it short. I did get a request to dive a little bit more into learned helplessness and victimhood. We did a video on that. I'm going to do another video diving in even deeper because as you've maybe seen, spiritual response therapy, spiritual response technique, whatever you want to call it, is a layered modality. You get to one, part of the story and you break that out of the way, and then you're like, that just revealed the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So we could dive into victim mentality and learned helplessness for many, many clearings, I am sure. And so, yeah, please, everybody, feel free to continue to make requests. I enjoy this work. I'm fascinated by this work, and it's a lot of fun for me to get to dive into it and see what happens. So I hope that this was an interesting kind of clearing for you today. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can like, comment, share, direct message me. You can find me at www.thepointedstone.com. You can also purchase pendulums and dowsing charts on my Etsy shop, which you can find on my YouTube profile or on my website. All right, everybody, thanks for being here, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.